Good night, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Agri Business Now. I am Nakita Samuel. This evening, we will continue to advise you on the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act of 2007. We have a feature on the St. Vincent's Cocoa Company. And the Forestry Department received new equipment that will assist in the development of the forestry sector. We also have the How to Do segment along with the news and announcements. Don't go away, Agribusiness Now will be right back.
Water. It is 75% of the Earth's surface, yet it is scarce in some places. It's 70% of our body's mass, yet many do not drink that 8 glasses per day. The forest plays an important part in the water cycle by protecting our watersheds. Water is life. Protect the forest. Preserve life.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, you're watching Agribusiness Now. For this week's segment on the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act of 2007, we have Noel Bruce, legal advisor to the Farmer Support Company Limited, enlightening us on Section 26 of the Act, which focuses on identifying a valid certificate of purchase.
Welcome back to our discussion of the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Prevention of Theft Act of 2007. Today we will be dealing with Section 26 and Section 27 of the Act. And Section 26 deals with offenses in relation to the certificate of purchase. And it states, Section 26, subsection 1. A person who contravenes Section 5 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $500 and to imprisonment for 3 months or to both such fine and imprisonment. A person who, A, when requested to produce a certificate of purchase or receipt, produce an invalid or false certificate of purchase or receipt. B, issues a certificate of purchase or receipt that contains any false information in respect of the agricultural produce or livestock, or C, in any way alters a certificate of purchase or receipt. This person commits an offense which is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 2 years or to both such fine and imprisonment, and in respect of a second or subsequent offense to imprisonment for 4 years. Now allow me to take us back to Section 5 and also Section 6 of the Act, because Section 26 refers to Section 5. And Section 5 states, no person shall A, purchase, or B, in any manner obtain possession or custody of agricultural produce or livestock of the value or weight prescribed in Schedule 1 unless at the time of purchase or of obtaining possession or custody of the agricultural produce or livestock, the person obtains a certificate of purchase or receipt from the vendor or other person as the case may be. So today we have gone back to this because we want to stress the importance of having a certificate of purchase. Now, as subsection 2A says, when requested to produce a certificate of purchase or receipt, produces an invalid or false certificate of purchase or receipt. And remember, we drew your attention to a book of certificate of receipts of purchase that is available at the Ministry of Agriculture. All you need to do, come to the Ministry of Agriculture, and you can request a book of receipts, and you will be advised as to the process. Now, this is the certificate of purchase that you ought to use, because in a while we will look at the different elements of the certificate of purchase. And you will notice that in the certificate of purchase, it has a watermark of the coat of arms of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it is this that gives the certificate of purchase its authenticity. And it is stated at the top, is Certificate of Purchase of the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act of 2007. Therefore, it is not up to you to perhaps go to a stationery store, or if you are good at the computer, to produce certificates for yourself. If you do so, you are guilty of an offense.
Established since 2014, the St. Vincent Cocoa Company has become one of the most prosperous businesses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Wilbur Jack of the Communications Unit has the details.
Being in St. Vincent for over 200 years, with the peak just before World War I, around 1914, cocoa has become part of our culture. Since then, the industry has steadily declined around the Caribbean, mainly because the material was taken to Africa, who became a big supplier of cocoa to all chocolatiers around the world. Thus, cocoa became unproductive due to high price and low quality. Andrew Hadley of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Cocoa Company tells us how his company came into existence in our neck of the woods.
In 2011, we set up a company. Amajaro, a company from overseas, came in and set up. They signed an MOA with the government with a simple aim was to reintroduce cocoa into St. Vincent. We would propagate seeds, grow the plants in the nursery, distribute them to farmers. Farmers would then grow the cocoa, and then we would then buy the cocoa from the farmer. In 2013, Amajaro decided to leave St. Vincent because there wasn't enough interest in the cocoa industry, and that's the way they took it, and so they didn't think it was going to be profitable, so they left. And in 2014, myself and Harry Marriott bought St. Vincent Cocoa Company from Amajaro. And since then, our business plan really changed. Instead of giving plants to farmers, we started to lease lands and buy our own lands. We're also supporting the farmers as well. In 2016, we set up the chocolate factory here in St. Vincent. We had enough production to do so we set it up. And also we wanted to introduce Vincentians into a value-added product, chocolate, made here in St. Vincent, because everybody was under the impression that all we're going to do is sell the cocoa bean to foreign and not make anything here. So we were really determined to do it, and it's been a great success, where we're selling a lot of chocolate here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we're also exporting chocolate to the UK and a little bit regionally. At the moment, we hire over 230 people in the company. Most of the people that we employ are young people in rural areas like Georgetown, like Chateau Belair, Barrowley, etc., where the youth really need the jobs. We also have 80 farmers who are contracted with St. Vincent Company. They are well looked after by us through an extension service, and so they're visited. We also buy the wet cocoa from them at $1.50 EC wet per pound. So they're doing quite well from it, and it's something that it's not 100% of their time. They're only using a small percentage of their time to do it. They're doing other things as well. And they're really starting to benefit from the cocoa? Well, I think their challenges, first of all, to understand the agronomics of cocoa. First of all, that shade is needed, the right locations, terracing, correct pruning. So all those things are a challenge because, like any crop, you really have to understand it to get its and do all the right things to get its full potential. And I think with cocoa, a lot of people think that it's just a tree, you plant it and you leave it there, but without the real attention, you won't get the proper yields. And that is really the key. Cocoa in St. Vincent can be a part of an agricultural sector that can be very beneficial to all Vincentians, in the rural sectors where we're actually growing the cocoa, to the service industry in the hotels, and into the restaurants where we'll be serving our guests and our local people this delicious natural product. It comes from St. Vincent, it's grown in St. Vincent, and it's made in St. Vincent. And it's part of our culture. So I really do encourage all Vincentians to look at cocoa production and look at the future of cocoa as being something promising and something that we'll cherish going forward.
Trinidadian Syrah Barth, freelance cocoa consultant, was present on the ground and tells us of her mission to St. Vincent and her findings thus far.
I'm here to help the company basically improve on the quality of the product that it's producing, right? You have varieties here that are already fantastic at the level of the genetics, but the important thing is to have that fantastic value remain all through the processing, because you can have great material and if you don't treat it right, it can go downhill, right? So I'm here to basically help optimize and bring out the best of the Vinci material that is here. When I first tasted the chocolate, when Andrew came to us in Trinidad and I first had the chocolate, my first reaction was, oh wow, this is a nice easy breakfast chocolate, you know? But I also recognized in tasting it that there was a lot that was still being hidden. And this is where proper processing practices, both from the field, come all the way through your processing, as well as with your roasting and the final treatment of the finished product makes a huge difference. We cannot say that any one stage is more important than the other. They complement each other. So this is where now the teamwork is really important. Everyone doing the stuff in the field, taking care of the trees, everything starts from there. Cocoa quality doesn't start with chocolate. It starts with the tree in the field. So with respect to my impressions, I like what they've started with, but I know how much further we can take it to really produce a fine flavor series of chocolates.
Here now are two cocoa farmers from the leeward side of the island telling us of their experiences.
How long have you been growing cocoa?
Over 3 years.
Have you found the cocoa beneficial?
Yeah, for the time being. For the time I started, it's very beneficial. Because I can see, well, sometimes it helps me to pay my bills, I mean, water bill, light bill, and even things in the kitchen.
Is there much more work in cocoa than other crops?
From seedling, it's difficult, I mean, you have to keep the weeds and keep it clean and so forth. But after this certain height, so it's easy because they expand, it help keep down the weed and everything like that. It's very easy. So we're really enjoying it.
Do you recommend cocoa for other farmers?
Well, I usually speak to other people who look at my production and wonder how things going. So I encourage them that they could do the same thing too. It's easy.
After banana went down, I had a phase a while, and then the cocoa came in. So I started cocoa in the days of Manjaro. That would be about 5 years ago. And today I have cocoa. I'm shipping cocoa. Cocoa company come on the farm and buy cocoa. I have no problem. with being a cocoa farmer. I planted my cocoa 10 by 10 spacing. I have approximately 900 trees. That would put me close to 2 acres. Being a member of the cocoa company, I think it is beneficial for me because they supply you with inputs. I'll encourage cocoa production throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a backup crop to vegetables, to tree crops, livestock, and you have the land. I'd encourage, just put in cocoa. You'll get something from it.
A handing over ceremony was held on May 10, 2019 at the Forestry compound. The Forestry Department within the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Transformation, Forestry, Fisheries, Industry and Labor received equipment from the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Environmental Sustainability Cluster, which will assist in increasing efficiency within the department. Najanka Johnson of the Communications Unit has more.
The Global Climate Change Alliance project, which was executed by the OECS, entails the distribution of equipment to several Caribbean countries. The equipment given to St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be used to realize this initiative and to further complement the general forestry management objective. Here is Mr. Fitzgerald Providence, Director of Forestry, with more details.
The Global Climate Change Alliance project is a regional project executed by the OECS. So it encompasses all the OECS countries. But in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we were able to benefit from the 3 tiers of the project. Under these projects, we had the refurbishment of the nursery because the nursery is critical in the supply of trees for the replanting in our forests, rehabilitation of river courses, and other aspects in terms of landscaping and beautification of our country. So in terms of we had the opportunity to have Mr. Chamberlain and Mr. Isaac from the OECS community secretariat based in St. Lucia. They came over for another aspect of in our country, the initiation of the drilling process at the geothermal project. So they took the opportunity just to make a formal handover of these pieces of equipment that were bought for forestry. As I said, we have gotten on the equipment, we have gotten computers. We also have equipment that will help us in our forest measurement in terms of global positioning system, our ability to measure the growth of trees, our ability to measure the light that enters the forest so that we can manage the tree layers of the forest environment. Also, we have water testing and soil testing material equipment so that we'll be able to better manage the forest. And when we're doing even reforestation, we'll be able to put the right trees for the right soil types. Also, under the project, there was forest management. Whereas over the years of forestry work in terms of rehabilitation of denuded areas, we have what you call established plantation forests. Now these forests don't function like the natural forests. Because they are fast-growing trees, they tend to become even age, one layer, and most of the understory doesn't come through because of the access of light. And as forest management, we have to go in there and manage those plantation forests. We have to remove some of the trees so that the light can penetrate right through. Under this project, we put some of those forests that were plantation, that were in critical areas, we converted them back to natural forests because they were in areas where we couldn't harvest the trees, and the trees were not what we call merchantable because the difficulty of getting there would be no use of being able to take them out of the forest. So under this project, we're converting some of those areas back to natural forests. But in areas where they're accessible, we have removed some of the trees, we have converted, and they have been taken up by woodcutters who would convert them into lumber.
Here is Mr. Chamberlain Emmanuel, Head of the Environmental Sustainability Cluster of the OECS, elaborating on the importance of the tools towards the project and the general sustainability of the forest.
I want to focus a bit on the tools and the other aspects that supported the physical works in Cumberland and Perseverance. So what I'm very glad for is that we're able to support not just implementing the physical interventions, but supporting the capacity building and supporting the sustainability. The tools that have been delivered hopefully would give you the capacity you need to be able to carry on the work. You have supplies, you have tools, and the training that came with it. And hopefully, as the overall project ends, the effort will not end, but you are equipped to be able to carry on the maintenance and of the forest and the nursery that has been equipped. Also, we're glad for the building and the quality of the works, as well as the quality of the equipment that has been supplied, and we trust that there will be the effort at maintenance and ensure we get the best value out of it.
Mr. Gideon Nash, head of Nature Care Gardening Company, gave a synopsis on the implementation of the project.
Now, there are two projects that we worked on. The Perseverance Restoration of Natural Forests project, which saw us removing some introduced species and reintroducing natural species in the forest, which one enables, according to the objectives, enables more resilience in terms of the weather and natural disasters, and two, it also allows for the better, as forestry would say, the better management of the natural forest, in that you are able to achieve the tree tier in the forest, the ground cover, the floor, the middle, and the upper canopy. And I think from assessment by the OECS and project supervisor and the client, which is forestry, we have achieved that. And I want to say how proud we are, the grouping of contractors, how proud we are that we have executed well and have satisfied our employer and the client who receive the work that we have done. The Cumberland aspect of the project, including not only working in the forest, but like was mentioned by the previous speakers, it included restoration to a large degree of the nursery area, where the nursery staff are now more comfortable in the environment, and I hope being more comfortable means that you're getting more production from the forestry side of things. Mr. Richards, being part of the person who designed aspects and knowing what his staff need, designing aspect of the building, design the building, we were able to add extra bathroom, which then separate male from female, and add a urinal, making the staff much more comfortable.
Up next, the How to Do It Yourself corner, so stay tuned.
Did you know that the OECS Agriculture Competitiveness Project, otherwise known as AgriComp project, has been officially launched?
Well, it was. And the project aims at enhancing access to markets and sales for competitively selected farmers and fisher folks.
But to access funds, you must be part of a productive alliance.
So what is a productive alliance, you ask? It's a business arrangement between farmers and or fisher folks on one hand, and on the other hand, aggregators. Aggregators can be cooperatives, lead farmers, or marketers and agro-processors.
The project provides matching grants to a productive alliance. A minimum of 10 farmers or fishers and an aggregator, such as a lead farmer, a cooperative, marketer, or an agro-processor.
Farmers and fisher folk in Productive Alliance can receive up to $8,000, while the aggregator, lead farmer or fisher, cooperative, marketer, or agro-processor can receive up to $120,000. For more information, please contact Ministry of Agriculture, Richmond Hill at 456-1410 or 456-1111, extension 311 or 321, or email agricomsvg@mail.gov.vc.
On today's How to Do segment, we will learn how to make moringa tea bag.
Now let's take a look at how to make your own moringa tea bags. Now let's get started. First, you will need dry moringa leaves, filters, a pair of scissors, tags for the tea bags, and a measuring utensil. Place 1 tablespoon of leaves in a filter. You don't want to add too much because you do want to be able to close your filter. Attach the tag to the tea bag. Carefully place the tea bag on a sterile towel to be ironed for the sealing process. Slowly iron the top part of the filter. Also, make sure to iron the tag to kill all bacteria. Check to make sure both ends are properly sealed. Now, we have a completed product, the moringa tea bag. Serve with hot water and enjoy with your friends.
The news and announcements.
The Ministry of Agriculture wishes to remind all cattle farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that the artificial insemination program in cattle is ongoing. We encourage all interested farmers to take advantage of this free service. Insemination can either be done with either beef or dairy crosses. The forestry services in the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Transformation, Forestry, Fisheries, Industry and Labour is appealing to the public to avoid the use of hazardous substances to capture river lobster, crayfish, shrimps, fish and other aquatic wildlife. Hazardous substances can be any electrical device designed to frighten any protected or partially protected wildlife. Any article of any nature which is likely to cause injury to any protected or partially protected wildlife, and any noxious substance for the purpose of killing and or injuring any protected or partially protected wildlife. River poisoning is illegal. It can disrupt the natural processes of the rivers, streams, and springs, and may endanger the lives of the people in the entire communities downstream, as well as other persons who may eat the fishes. Persons guilty of such an offense are liable to a fine of $2,000 and to imprisonment for 6 months. This is accordance with Section 29 of the Wildlife Protection Act No. 16 of 1987.
At the end of another Agri Business Now program. But we will be here again next week Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. with another interesting one. For more information, feel free to contact us at the Communications Unit within the Ministry of Agriculture at 456-1111, extension 312 or 472, or email us at citumaf2@hotmail.com. Remember, you can view more of Agri Business Now programs on our YouTube channel, Agri Business Now St. Vincent, or like our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/agribusinessnow, to get more updates. Until next time, I am your host, Nakita Samuel. Thank you for viewing and do have yourself a wonderful evening.